How We Make Movies is brought to you by Microsoft Surface, Assimilate, Azo, Moviola, and Canon Hollywood. It's shot in front of a live audience in Los Angeles and hosted by the film collective We Make Movies. Hello and welcome back to How We Make Movies. I'm your host, Amanda Lippert, and this is the show where we talk to filmmakers, real filmmakers, indie filmmakers, people who are doing what you want to do, that started out where you are now and are doing a pretty good job of it. Our guest today is Kate Rees Davies. She's a UK native that landed in Los Angeles just 5 short years ago to attend UCLA's Director's Program on Scholarship. In the 3 years since she's graduated, she's directed 3 shorts that were accepted to Cannes, 2 features, one which was shot in only 5 days on a C300, and she's currently in pre-production on another feature. Please welcome Kate Rees Davies. That's a pretty impressive resume for such a short period of time.
Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah, I don't know how I did that, actually. It's a bit bizarre. But can I just ask how many writers are in the audience?
Nice.
Nice. I'll be coming to see you later for some future projects. And how many camera people? Oh, guys, come on. More camera people. We need more camera people at Canon. Cool. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're here today. You want to talk to us about a couple of your recent projects that you did. You have a short that just went to Cannes.
Yes.
Called The Vanished. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yep, that one actually didn't go to Cannes. It's hopefully going next year.
It's a new one. Okay.
Yeah, that was a real labour of love. It started off. It was a 25-minute short, and I had to cut it down to 15 minutes just because it worked better as a shorter one. So. But yeah, that came about, and it was really weird because I'd done some crowdfunding and I got nowhere with crowdfunding, and I was like, oh my God, you know.
What were you trying to raise, and what did you raise?
I actually was trying to raise 15,000 because there was like desert scenes, and I wanted to use like a jib and like all this fancy stuff, and I was like, oh, you know, I can't do this on my little student budget. So basically, I raised $500, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I don't think that's going to really cut it, to be honest. But, you know, no worries. I'll just manifest. I'm just going to put it out there, and something will come. Anyway, fast forward 9 months, and we got the money, and I had 15 grand, and I brought the film in for 13, so that was phenomenal. And we shot 5 days, I think 4 days maybe. We went up to Mojave and Lancaster because part of the movie was kind of based in Mexico, and I found this great location, which I didn't realize was where Quentin Tarantino shot the Kill Bill movies, The Church, up in Lancaster, which is fab. It's great. If anyone's doing any Hispanic stuff and they want Mexico, Lancaster's the place. It's great. Yeah, so if you're going down to Mexico. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then, but there was a load of challenges on that. Like I had kids, I had, you know, because I was producing it as well as directing. So, yeah, it's kind of odd doing those big ones when you're producing as well, because, you know, there's a lot going on, and you're trying to get the actors to do what they're supposed to do, and then you're thinking, oh my God, what time's lunch coming? And they've got to drive for an hour to go and get it, and you know, so it's.
Did you have a line producer or production manager to help you with that?
Yeah, I did have a producer, a line producer who was helping, so that was fantastic. I mean, it wasn't all me, and we had quite a big crew on that one as well. So, but you know, with my movies, when I do them myself, all I ever want is that we finish the project and that nobody ends up in the hospital. And as long as that happens, then my job here is done, you know. So
that's a challenge sometimes,
yeah,
especially shooting in the desert.
It is.
I had a friend who recently was shooting in the desert, and they had an unexpected sandstorm, and it was a huge, you know, everybody's property was getting damaged, and you know, they were breathing sand, and cameras were getting damaged. It's a huge risk.
Well, we shot that with the Sony f/65, which is quite a big camera. And that jib, I swear, you know, because it was right up high. I can't even remember now how high it was. I'm not kind of a technical person with that kind of stuff. But anyway, this thing was waving, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that camera's like worth $100 and something thousand. I'm like, oh, thank God the cameraman had insurance. But, you know, I'm just thinking, oh my God, if that thing blows off. But it didn't. It was cool. It stayed on. But, you know, the great thing was about the weather was that it actually added to the mood of the film. So it was perfect because basically these two guys get stranded in the middle of the desert. So having that crazy storm coming, and you know,
so
it was
you
all
did
moody.
have a real storm?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
We were all standing around in blankets, and like I had this this vehicle which was one of my kind of prop vehicles, and it was this mad old Ford thing, this old beaten up Ford, so I used it as like the transportation vehicle and my office. So it had one of those massive long seats, so I was like, God, just everybody come in here, come on, let's huddle, we've got, you know, kind of warmth and everything. So we were just all crammed into everybody's cars with heating on and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So
how did you keep the sand from getting into the equipment?
Yeah, that was a bit of a challenge, actually. I mean, we did well. I mean, my cameraman owns a lot of his equipment, so, and he's got it really well insured. So he normally, you know, like he does underwater stuff and all sorts of different things. So he's kind of pretty blasé with his equipment. He's like, oh, you know, it's fine. I'll just get it fixed, or I'll just, because he kind of owns it to rent.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different when you have that as opposed to when you're renting, because you're more kind of like, oh, you know, if something happens, I'm going to have to claim and, well, you know.
Right, right.
So.
Well, it sounds like a really cool story. Do you guys want to see the trailer for it? Ah, nice. Hey. Maybe not. I lied. Here it is.
Ernesto, tengo miedo. La abuela te va a ayudar. En cuanto yo llego ahí te mando dinero.
It's been hard enough since you lost his mom, but if you lose the house too, it'll destroy him.
Papa! Papa!
I always have to think about these things. That was really great. You shot half of the film in Spanish and half in English. Was that a challenge at all? Are you a Spanish speaker?
No, I'm not at all. So that was like, oh my goodness, you know. So I had to, I translated the script, and I got, because I kind of do this other work as well, and I just got one of the valets to help me, because like, I was like, I don't have any clue. And then when we kind of did the titles, and obviously some of the actors that are speaking Spanish are Spanish speakers anyway, and the beautiful story about Eloy, who plays the dad, is he's actually done that journey for real. Like, he came here 10 years ago, you know, which is in, like, could have lost his life and everything. He came as an illegal immigrant and crossed the border. And so, like, when we were doing that scene when he's, you know, saying goodbye, obviously he was very emotional because I'm sure it brought up some memories for him. And I was just like, oh my God, you know, this is so emotional, because I kind of knew his backstory and I was really trying to hold it together, you know. And but, you know, look, when I showed it to people, they were like, oh, yeah, it's pretty much spot on. So I was like, oh, that's all right then.
Yeah.
You know, so, phew.
I'm sure that, you know, between the actors and all the other people that you asked for help, that, you know, it was translated the way that you wanted to be. But you didn't write it, did you?
No, I didn't. And obviously the guy that wrote it, Taylor, he actually doesn't speak Spanish either. So, and I decided to do the first half Spanish. I don't know why, but because I'm a bit crazy, I think. But, you know, thinking, oh, yeah, it'll be easy, you know. But it's not. It's really hard when you're dealing with kind of another language in a film if it's not your own language. So, especially when you're kind of pulling it together yourself. But I just wanted it to be authentic, and I think it kind of does work.
Well, at least comes across in the trailer.
Yeah.
Now, you just recently also finished directing a full-length feature. How long of a period did you have between the two of those?
Oh, God, that was a nightmare as well, because, like, this Vanish just came out of nowhere, and because the money came. And the guy that was shooting the feature for me said, oh, no, let's just pop it off before the feature. And I'm thinking, pop it off? You know, I've got to pull this together and get us all up to, and find locations and get guns and pull these kids and have teachers, and like this logistical nightmare going on. So going into that feature straight after was a walk in the park, let me tell you, because I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was turn up and direct.
That's such a...
Oh, I'm telling you, I was just like, oh, please, let me just get a pillow. I can do this sleeping, you know.
Well, you say that and we laugh, but what we're leaving out is the fact that you directed that feature in 5 days.
Oh, I'm fast. I'm fast.
I guess so. I guess. How many pages did you shoot in a day? How do you shoot a feature in 5 days?
I mean, I don't recommend it, to be honest with you. I really don't. However, you know, again, another challenge, because I love them. I'm just a glutton for punishment, clearly. So, yeah, but, you know, look, you prep your actors, and I didn't have any time with them either. So I insisted upon at least meeting them, though, you know, once prior, just so that I could get them comfortable with me and just be, look, guys, you know, we've just got to wing this. Let's just try and, you know, you're good actors, so we're all in this together. I've got your back, you know. And I'm an actor as well, so I really try and make my actors feel as comfortable as possible on set. And I think, you know, them having that trust in me and just, I don't know, you know, being kind of open and letting them just trusting that they can do the job, you know. And also if they can't, then I get a chance to direct, which is fantastic. So, you know, and I give them direction, and you know, we always have enough to get some kind of cut. So I don't normally do more than about 3 or 4 takes. You know, look, I mean, if I had more time, that would be nice. But, you know, it's tough when you've got that ticking clock on you. Because, again, I didn't produce this. I was just the director for hire. So,
and how many pages per day?
About 24 to 26.
24, wow.
Yeah. So it was tough on the actors. It was. But, look, it's come, you know, considering we were under that constraint of time, I think it's come out all right, to be honest with you, you know. And we actually shot that one on the Canon C300. Thank you very much. So there we go.
Thank you, Canon.
Yes, thank you, Canon. And 2 other Canon cameras. We had 3 going on that one because it was a part found footage movie as well, where they're doing this kind of like clinical study and they have cameras in their houses that they kind of speak into after they've been injected with this drug. So, yeah, it's, you know, look, it's a kind of thriller / horror, so I'll be excited when it comes out and see, you know, once all the sound and everything is done, because we're still in post on that one.
So that one, you can see the trailer online, but it's not finished yet, so we didn't have anything we could bring in for today. But what were some of the other factors that helped you, you know, shoot 24, 25 pages in a day, other than, you know, because you didn't have much time with the actors to rehearse beforehand, so I'm sure that they had to really rehearse, but what were some of the things that made that possible? Because that's something that just seems so extraordinary to me. Most film sets shoot, what, like 7 pages a day?
Roughly, you know, look, being a producer as well, it really helps me as a director, because now I just get on Screenchronize and just break everything down. And, you know...
What is Screenchronize?
Oh, it's fantastic. If anyone's not heard of this, it's fab. Basically, it'll just do all your breakdowns and all of your, you know, like it'll list all your actors and, you know, rank them. It'll give you like all the breakdowns of locations and everything, and it's screenchronize.com. So any producers out there, it's fab. And yeah, and you just literally upload your script, press a couple of, you know, digits, and off you go, and they just spew out all these reports. So I just print that off basically, and it's kind of like it's a breakdown of each scene, and then I just do my notes. You know, I'll put like my shot list to a certain extent. I mean, with my cameraman, I don't, you know, basically how I work with this particular cameraman is I'll give them visual references, and then I'll say, oh, let's just try and replicate that, you know. I really like this shot, and let's just, you know, because I mean, typical textbook stuff, I try and do my wide and then just go in for coverage, you know, and then do my little cutaways if need be to try and move that story along a little bit. But, and sometimes I'll just be in the scene and I'm like, oh God, what, you know, let's try this. That's fantastic. Let's go and try this one. Or, you know, the cameraman will come up with something and say, oh, what about this? And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's great.
What are some of the ways that you try to portray emotion through your setups? Were there any particular setups in the feature or the short that really helped you capture the emotion that you were trying to pull from the audience?
Yeah, I think like it's quite important to let that, you know, don't say cut too early and let the camera catch. Because what happens is when they stop speaking, actors, they kind of panic a little bit. I know, because I do it myself. And that's often when the best stuff comes. And so, you know, that's really good for kind of capturing emotion with actors that maybe aren't as experienced, you know. So, and, you know, camera movement can help as well. If it's, you know, if you're trying to portray a thought, you kind of zoom in or you can zoom out. So, yeah, just thinking about other ways to tell your stories, you know, through the camera as well, because it's its own tool, you know. It's not just about the actors, it's about everything coming into play, the lighting, you know, colours that you use in your scenes. And, you know, I tend to red something that always pops up in my movies. I don't know why.
Do you have, do you notice that there's a theme kind of amongst all of your films, or a certain thing that you do that's your thumbprint, that's your style?
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's a really difficult question because I'm quite new still. I don't even know if I have a style yet. I do find that I'm drawn myself when I'm writing to social issue films. Like the first film I did was about bullying, and then obviously this one was about you know, kind of immigration and and trying to tell the story from a Hispanic point of view, you know, that people coming into this country just they're not all drug dealers. They're actually trying to just get money to feed their families, you know, and they put their lives at risk to do that. Often, you know, some of them lose their life, a lot of them lose their lives, and, you know, all they want to do is just put food on their children's plates, you know, and so I find that I'm kind of drawn to those stories quite a lot. But I do love a good action movie, so if anyone's got an action script, I'm in. Because I just want to, you know, race cars and just kind of do something crazy.
I've been wanting to, like, kick some people in the face. Maybe the two of us should get together.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
You talked about you came from an acting background. Can you tell me a little bit about your personal story and how you got into directing?
Yeah, so anyway, I mean, I've wanted to be an actress since I was about 2 years old. I, you know, just obsessed with just performing, basically. And then went through school, kind of did all the acting stuff. And thank God my acting teacher, you know, said, you've got to get in this class. And, you know, because back then there was no medication for ADD. So it was kind of like, get into the acting class, you can expel all that energy through, you know, creating, which was fantastic. And then when I left school, I took a year out and fell into the corporate world, started earning money, and thought, oh my God, there's no way I'm going back to being a poor student, you know. So did that for a long time, thought the ship had sailed, and then was like, nah, I've got to do this. It's just, I can't squash it anymore, you know, I've got to go and do it. So went to Sydney, signed up for school, went, loved it, and then went for an audition as an actor, and the guy was like, you kind of seem to know what you're doing. Do you want to direct and produce this? And I was like, well, I've never really done that before. And they're like, well, he said, oh, well, you seem to kind of know what you're talking about. And I'm like, is there a budget? And he's like, yeah. I said, oh, I'm in. Let's do it. And, you know, thankfully, having been on a lot of sets, and I'd done quite a lot of extra work, and you know, extra work's great because you get to watch what everybody does, and funnily enough, I mean, we did have a good budget, and I used a lot of that on my camera person, who was very, very good. She really helped me a lot, and I just loved it. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to do more of this. This is fantastic.
And how did you find out about UCLA's program?
Yeah, so I came here as an acting student just to continue on, because I spent 2.5 years in Sydney, which was fab. But, you know, there's not an awful lot going on down there. And I thought, right, I've got to go to Mecca, because that's the only place, Hollywood's where it's at, you know. So came here thinking, oh, I know I'm not going to like it, because it's, you know, there's guns and there's all this kind of stuff. And I'm a little country girl, and I, you know, what will happen, and yada, yada. So anyway, I came, and I was just like, oh my God, I cannot leave. This is freaking phenomenal.
It's kind of amazing,
I
right?
was sucked in like it was like taking a drug. I was like, I can't get enough of it.
What did you love most about LA when you first moved here?
Everything. Everybody's bonkers here. I love it. And it actually, it makes me feel completely normal. I'm like, oh my God, I'm amongst my own. It's fab.
That's a really funny way of thinking about it. And you got a scholarship in the Directorial program.
I did, yeah, at UCLA. So I was here as an actor for like doing this 8-week course, which was fab. And then I was like, oh God, I've got to stay here. So I ended up finding about, you know, UCLA, and I was like, well, I'll just do that director's program, because then that'll fill in the gaps, you know, that I don't know about directing. And it was very good. It was really good, so.
And since graduating, I mean, you've done so much work. You've done the 3 shorts, and you've worked on a bunch of other projects as well. You have 15 producing credits on your IMDb.
There's obviously somebody else doing it, because I just blanked now.
So how is it that you've kept so busy?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, look, when I came to Hollywood, this is quite a funny story. As an actor, I had this complete irrational fear. Not that I was not going to be any good as an actor, but first of all, walking down red carpets was terrorizing me. And I was like, and people rifling through my rubbish. If I became famous, that's what I'd have to deal with. And I was like, that's ludicrous. So anyway, so I thought, right, I've got to overcome this fear. I'm having sleepless nights. Can't cope with the idea of walking down a red carpet. So I thought, right, I'll go and become a host on a red carpet. So I got my little, you know, film school camera, covered red carpets, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. You know, I'm loving this. And I got to see the other side of it. So I was like, oh my God, it's going to be great. If I ever walk down a red carpet, it's going to be fine because I'll know everybody, the other side of it. Because now I know all the camera people and, you know, we're all a bunch of friends. So it's going to be fine. So, yeah, and then through that, I interviewed Michael Biehn and his wife, who, Michael Biehn, some of you may know, was in the original Terminator. He played Kyle. And Michael's had a phenomenal Hollywood career, you know, he's worked all the time. And his wife and him were just setting up a production company at that time. And then basically she was like, oh God, you know, come and help us. And I was like, oh, sweet.
So you met her on the red carpet?
So
it was just an interview?
I interviewed them, yeah, and then they just thought I was a complete nutcase and just said, oh, let's go.
So the one city where that would work in your favor.
Yeah, so, you know, so there we go. So then I've produced 9 films with them.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
So,
and that's the kind of opportunity that I'm sure a lot of your fellow classmates from UCLA in the 3 years since they've graduated probably haven't had. And that was just from you diving into your fears.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, you know, the thing, you know, like, I do hold myself back sometimes. I mean, the only person ever standing in your way is yourself. And you know, you just have to really be bold. I mean, like, boldly go, you know, like the Star Trek thing. And funnily enough, how random is this? Because I'm not a Star Trek fan, but I was brought up on it because my brothers were obsessed and I was forced to watch it. And anyway, so Leonard Nimoy's son was my teacher at UCLA. I just couldn't believe it. And then I met his dad on the red carpet and interviewed him. Aww. I was like, oh, this is a bit, you know, sci-fi.
Yeah, you know, also I think LA is very incestuous. You know, everybody is kind of connected somehow through Kevin Bacon or not.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
I think it's really phenomenal that, you know, you came from, you know, a background that all the dots didn't necessarily look like they were going to connect, but they did, and it's brought you to this point where you're making movies and you're getting the experience and you've got a lot to look forward to. And I think that, you know, it's so hard for filmmakers as artists or artists of any kind sometimes to get out of their own way, and we, you know, sometimes feel like we're soaring and then other times just feel like we're in these funks where nothing's working. What are some things that you do to just kind of just get out of your funk and get back into the creativity?
Oh, I don't get out of the funk. I bask in it for days. Oh, I love that pity party for one. It's fabulous. It's great. I just lie on that sofa and I watch back-to-back movies, and by about movie 5, I'm pretty out of it. Then I'm all re-inspired and ready to rule the world again. It's great. So you just enjoy those times down. Make the most of them because they don't come often, hopefully.
So you've had 3 shorts that got into Cannes. That's pretty phenomenal. Also, it must have been like back to back right after you graduated, right?
Yeah, well, one of them was my thesis film, and then the other 2 got in, and they were at the corner. They actually weren't in competition, but you still have to submit, obviously, and I know a lot of people that have submitted and they don't get in, but look, it's been phenomenal, and I've been to Cannes. I've actually been to Cannes many times, but not as a filmmaker, because I've got some friends in the UK who are filmmakers, and I've gone with them. And of course, you know, when you're not a filmmaker, it's kind of like, oh, this is great partying. But when you're a filmmaker, it's very different. And it's actually, you know, amazing. And
what were the differences?
well, obviously you get into the festival, which, you know, as a non-filmmaker, unless you've got a pass or you buy the ticket, you can't really enter the zone, you know. But, you know, you do meet a lot of people sort of at the hotels. Even if you do go down just for networking, it's always good. You never know who you're going to meet. Yeah, I interned at the Weinstein Company when I was at school. So, and I just keep bumping into Harvey all the time. And he was there the first year I went. I was like, oh, quick, there's Harvey. And he's gone. So he jumped into his limo. So I missed him on that one. But I've tracked him down since. But yeah, you know, look, it's, I would say anybody that's got a short film, submit it. You know, I mean, the worst that can happen is that you don't get in. You know?
Did you find that getting into some major festivals and having those laurels and credits to your bio has helped your career at all? Be honest.
No, actually. No. Although, you know, that's very negative and I don't really like being negative. But, you know, it's part of the journey, really, of being a filmmaker. I mean, I'm still very young in terms of my career as a filmmaker. And, you know, this business is one that, you know, if you're coming into it to either be famous or get rich quick, good luck with that. Because, you know, this is a lifelong journey. And I think with this business, you are constantly learning, not only about the business, but about yourself, because it's evolving all the time. And I just think, you know, too many people focus on the destination and they miss the wonderful things that happen on the journey, you know.
Yeah.
So roll those windows down and just breathe in that luscious air, because it's fab. When we get a chance to do what we love, you know, it's utopian.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems that for you to have this success that you've had so far, it's been very reliant on the relationships that you've built. Do you find yourself working with a lot of the same crew members over and over again?
Some I have. I mean, again, you know, I'm at that stage in my career where I actually enjoy working with new people because, you know, you kind of either have a really good relationship and you build on those good relationships, or you find out that maybe, you know, because there's a lot of different personalities in this business as well that you kind of have to navigate. It's not like a normal job, whereas if somebody is a little dysfunctionate, you can go to your supervisor and kind of, you know, put in a complaint. You can't do that. You just, and especially if you're a producer or, you know, you're helming the project, you have to kind of try and make it work somehow. And thankfully, so far, you know, I haven't had any majorly unpleasant experiences. So, yeah.
How do you usually find your crew members? Since I'm sure a lot of it depends on availability.
Yeah,
and
some, you know, I've worked with prior. Other people have brought along. You know, I do use Mandy or some of the other kind of filmmaking groups that I'm a member of. I'm actually getting, you know, people are actually reaching out to me now, which is a bit, I find that quite, you know, I feel really touched when people say, oh, you know, read my script, or...
Aww.
You know, I'd like to work with you. I mean,
you don't always write your own scripts. You do work with writers.
No, I'd rather work with writers, to be honest with you. I do write my own stuff, you know. I've got a little project that I'm working on at the moment that I'd like to submit for a sort of an initiative through the AFI, which, you know, would be phenomenal if I got in that program. But, you know, even if I don't, I'll make it anyway. But... Yeah, I mean, I like working on other people's stuff because I just find other people's stuff so much more interesting, you know.
It's good to have that honesty with yourself that, like, this is my strength is directing and my passion is directing, and let somebody else do that part.
Yeah, you know, and I think I've learned, and I don't know whether everybody agrees with this, but I think if you give people the freedom to do their best work, like they always go above and beyond that call of duty, I feel. Whereas if you come in, oh, I want this and I need this, and then they're all like, oh,
Yeah,
you know,
I gotta do it just right.
Yeah,
I gotta
oh
do
my
it just
God,
right. I
she's
don't want to
gonna
mess
go
up.
nuts if I don't. And I'm like, you know, just go nuts, and then I'll come in and trim if I need to, you know, but often not.
You know, when you're working with so many different writers and different crew members, and it kind of is of changing and evolving all the time, how do you maintain your style, your thumbprint, like the thing that makes your films you?
Oh dear, see, now that's another challenging question. Look, I mean, miracles and magic happen on set. It really does. And I do my prep and then I just let it go, you know, and that's when the magic happens.
You said to me before that you put a lot of time and thought and energy into your preparation. You come into every set very prepared.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your preparation process? I know you talked a little bit about screenology, but what other types of synchronize?
Yeah.
I know you talked to me about synchronize, but are there any other tools that you use or any other parts of your personal process that help you show up and feel 100% prepared?
Yeah, I love storyboards. I don't do them because I can't really draw. But if I can find somebody that's up for doing them, then I love that. That's fab, because then they come up with interesting angles as well. And then I mood board as well. I do a lot of mood boarding.
What is mood boarding?
Oh, mood boarding's like when you take colors or images that... it's kind of like when you take images more and you just put them together, and it's like then a color palette forms. Like for The Vanished, you know, it was all very red and kind of there was some green in there because I wanted like the Mexican flag, and you know, some of it was by chance as well. And obviously the desert was very red, so that was kind of my palette for that. And then if you looked at the Los Angeles, there was more kind of whites and sort of oranges in that, and kind of, yeah, more white, kind of pure, if you like. You know, it's like he'd come and found like the holy grail of getting his work. And so, yeah, so that kind of thing. And then I'll do like scene breakdowns as well. So I'll go through the script and I'll kind of, because I've done some script supervising as well, which really helps, because then you can kind of like go through the script and you can be like, okay, well, I'll do a wide shot here, and then I'll do an over the shoulder shot, and then I'll do this, and perhaps I'll have like some tracking there. And, you know, so I'm constantly thinking of the movie playing out in my mind. I'm quite visual, you know, and I'm not very good at conveying that to people. So that's why I have to use the pictures, because then I'm like, you work it out, you know.
Now, in addition to being very fast on set, you're also notorious for always coming in under budget.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that you save money on set? And what are some of the areas where you won't cut costs?
Yeah, I mean, I won't ever cut costs on food, because I think if you feed everybody, then, you know, at least the crew's happy. So that's one less thing to worry about. I mean, I've been very blessed. I really have, with the equipment that I've been able to use in the short time. Yeah, I went from school with a flip camera and a monopod, which I used to shoot all my stuff on. You know, even my interviews, my red carpet interviews.
You shot your interviews on the red carpet with a flip cam?
Yeah, and
they gave you a press pass?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, I tell you, I don't know how I got in there. It was hilarious. I mean, there's me, you know, little student with John Voight. Oh my God, me and John Voight were having a right old laugh. You know, it was great fun. That's because, I mean, I don't want to be a host. I just did it to get over the fear, you know. So I'd be having a right old laugh on those carpets. But yeah, so I went from that to then using like the Sony f/65, you know, Canon's latest. I mean, at school, if I was doing projects outside of school, like I did the 48-hour film festival several times, and then I'd use like a Canon 7D or a 5D, you know, because again, you know, you don't need a lot of lighting with those cameras, and they're fast as well. So you just, you know, some big camera setups, and you know what it's like at school. You're always stealing shots left and right. So, you know, just got to have a quick hoof it if the police turn up or whatever, you know. So, and they did on one of my shoots. Oh my God, it was hilarious. We were doing a fight scene in my apartment building. And there's me thinking, oh, this is great. Come on, let's get the action. Next minute, like 4 policemen are at the door.
Oh, no.
And thank God I was able to get rid of them. And I said, oh, look, next time you come, do you want to be in the movie? And they just thought it was hilarious. So I'm sure they just, you know.
I'm sure it's your accent and your, like, sweet character.
They probably didn't understand me. They're probably thinking, oh, God, she's a nutcase. Quick, let's go.
Let's go before this gets out of hand.
Yeah, so, yeah, but I mean, you know, I didn't get shut down, thank God. So, yeah, so, you know, I have been very lucky. And the cameraman that I used initially actually owns all his own equipment. So, and, oh, God, it was like being a kid in a sweet shop, I tell you, to have all that equipment.
Yeah.
And just going, oh, let's use that lens, and, oh, you know, what next?
So working with crew members that have their own equipment helps a lot.
Yeah.
What other sorts of things help save you on budget?
Like I've been a bit canny as a producer. Like I go to a lot of events and kind of build up relationships with people, and you know, people have offered me equipment, you know, for nothing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's go.
So a lot of it. All right, sure.
Yeah. Oh, God, give me those lights quick. I just can't wait to get them on, you know.
So I have this sense that so much of your good luck has to do with just having a great personality and being willing to just throw yourself out there.
God, yeah, I don't know. They probably think, oh, I love her. She hasn't got any money. Let's give her something, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? If that's what works for you, that's what works.
Well, look, I'll take it.
Now, you were talking about some of the cameras that you like to work with, and you brought some footage with you today of the latest project that's not even finished yet.
Yeah.
It's some raw footage, but it was shot on the C300. Do you guys want to see it? I'm excited to see this. I haven't even seen this yet.
It bothers you that I used to fuck for money?
Yeah. Maybe if you had a little respect for yourself, it would bother you too.
I want to know that I'm not crazy.
Compound's called diethylphenyltryptamine.
This doesn't work. I don't know what I'll do.
At this point, I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
This isn't gonna be easy for me.
This comes in handy when it's time to realign the mood.
Do you want to put the gun away, please, Lori?
Ernesto, tengo miedo.
Abuela te va a ayudar. En cuanto yo llego ahí te mando dinero.
Papa! Papa! What you drawing, loser? Give that back! You want your pretty picture back? Open wide. matter, Sammy? Don't like the sign we made for you?
I don't think he appreciates our work.
Hold him!
Ow! Hey! Leave him alone! Are you okay, Sam?
Sorry, man. I saw something.
I told you to go home! God damn, man. Damn.
Shit.
Stupid, man.
I got this feeling on the summer day when you were gone. I crashed my car into the bridge. I watched, I let it burn. I threw your shit into a bag and pushed it down the stairs. I crashed my car into the bridge. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. I got this feeling on the summer day when you were gone. I crashed my car into the bridge. I watched, I let it burn. I threw your shit into a bag and pushed it down the stairs. I crashed my car into the bridge. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. You're on a different road. I'm in the Milky Way. You want me down on Earth, but I am up in space. You're so damn hard to please. We gotta kill this switch. You're from the 70s, but I'm a 90s bitch. I love it. I love it.
It was awesome. Well, that was amazing. I'm so glad that we got to show that. We have some audience questions for you here. They have been submitting all of their questions through meetingpulse.ps, really great little web app that we use here. The first one has 8 votes on it. Like, they're all user voted too, so they can tell me what they really want to know. And they're asking, where did you end up finding the funding for The Vanished? You said that it kind of came through when you weren't expecting it.
Oh yeah, my cameraman footed the bill.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that was handy.
So he just kind of really believed in the project and wanted to see it happen.
You know, like, I was just blown away because I was like, whoa, you could shoot, you know, with this money that you've got, you could shoot anything. But, you know, because there was a labor of love, that project. It really was. And how that came about is this particular writer that wrote that piece I'd been working with on a couple of other projects, and I asked him to write me a script, and I gave him a couple of sort of outlines of what I wanted. I wanted like a human trafficking story, something with kids, and I can't remember what the other thing was now, another kind of social issue. And he came up with The Vanished, and I was just like, oh my God, it's fab, you know, it's kind of got a couple of all of the elements that I asked for. And then when my cameraman read it, he was like, whoa, this is fantastic, you know, I'd love to work on this. And so that's when my journey began on that, of trying to raise the funds. And then it didn't happen. And I think my cameraman was like, oh, that's a real shame. And I said, no, it's gonna happen before this year is out. I don't know how, but it's happening. Before this year is out, we're gonna get that money from somewhere. It's coming.
You were just a manifesting machine.
Oh God, I was like a magnet for that cash.
That's awesome. And it's they also want to know why the Sony F65. Did you shoot in RAW or 4K?
Oh God, I think what's the difference?
All right. The difference, I think, is in editing.
8K the RAW? whatever the highest thing is, we shot in that.
That's what you shot in?
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to tell the
Look at
story
me,
about...
technical. Love it.
You're like, I'll leave that to the DP and the editor.
That's not my job.
I want to talk to the actors.
Yeah, I want to talk to the actors and make it look pretty. That's all.
Everybody's asking this, and I'll leave it up to you if you want to answer it or not, but everybody wants to know, from the budget, how much do you pay yourself?
Oh, God, not anything. Not a cent. All goes into the film.
Yeah. Where specifically did you spend the $15K? That's literally the next question.
That was mainly on the cast and crew. We did it SAG, so we had to give them SAG minimum. The crew, the locations were quite expensive. The crane, the guns. I mean, I used this amazing gun guy. Oh my God, he was fantastic. He's got this massive collection.
Is he in LA?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Oh, but you love him so much.
No, it's okay. No, he's fab. I think was it Tom? I'm not sure. Anyway, but he's got this great armor of any gun that you would ever want and any kind of prop like that.
Yeah.
So, and he works with all the studios as well. So, and he's actually not that expensive, but feeding everybody. We had hotels up at where we were shooting as well, you know, so I housed some of the crew there. And it's amazing. 15,000 doesn't, sounds like a lot when you're used to kind of very, very small budgets, but it soon goes when you start getting your production value up. And I mean, I didn't even put any money into camera because my cameraman was bringing everything.
Yeah, that's the amazing part, because a lot of times there's a huge chunk of money that goes to rentals. Yeah.
So I brought that film in on 30, and then the rest of the budget went on the post, and we've still got some other post stuff we're doing because we have to conform it now for the television. So that's even though the film is finished,
Yeah. We've got some more questions. They're still voting. I love this. This one has 6 votes, and they're asking, do you shoot multiple cameras at the same time?
Yeah, depending on the project. Like on my feature I did, I had 3 going on that. One was the main one, which was the C300. I had found footage cameras in every going at the same time as well, depending on which angle we were shooting, because you have to be careful, because otherwise you're just filming. It's just filming us shooting, basically. Yeah. So, so that was good. And actually not that much of the found footage ended up in that movie. There's a fair bit, but, considering I thought there was going to be a little bit more.
With the found footage, were you able to have them shooting maybe their testimonials or confessionals in another room while you were shooting something else at the same time?
No, we did it all in the same, we kind of, again, with lighting tricks and little things, you can kind of corner sections off and, make it look like something different.
Oh, wow. So you were able to use that set and make it look like a lot of other sets?
Yeah. I mean, and one of the sets I had to work with was a kind of studio apartment. So, and there, and the day that we shot in there, it went over about 4 days. So I had to kind of use every corner of that room.
Oh, wow.
And, have them sitting at the table for one of the scenes, and then they were in bed for the other scene, and then they were in the kitchen, so just trying to, and it came out, it looked like they're in this big house, I was like, oh, that's handy, isn't it?
That's amazing how you can transform a space.
Oh, it is. The trickery, I love it.
The next question they're curious about is, do you have a side job or bills paid solely from filmmaking now?
Yes, I am I've got a survival job, thank the Lord.
That's how you get in between?
It is,
Do you mind saying what you do?
I work at a front desk, and I just hand people their mail. And it's really handy, actually, because I use it as my production office, because nothing's going on. So I just take in my computer and I do all my stuff.
I've done that at so many jobs before.
Oh,
That's
it's
brilliant.
Fantastic. I love it.
And it's just it's a way of getting paid twice. You know, at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Do you remember how many lenses you used on the Vanished and what kinds?
9, I think. Ingenue, Aries. Do you want specifics?
If you know off the top of your head.
Not really.
No. So quite a 9 different.
Oh, they were very expensive lenses. I know that much.
Yeah. So they were things that your camera guy was able to
Yeah. I mean, he owns all of them. So he's a Phantom operator. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Phantom camera. And we've used that on. I did another project with him. We did a music video. Oh God, it was fantastic. That Phantom, mad. I love it.
Yeah. What do you feel that you ever get scattered by wearing too many hats? Because you're an actor, you're a filmmaker, you're a producer.
Always scattered. I'm just all over the shop.
How do you keep it together?
I've no clue. I've no idea.
That's the honest answer.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I have to lie down sometimes because I exhaust myself.
I wonder what your family thinks of you when you they see your pictures on Facebook and they see what you're up to.
They think it's a right lot because the thing is, all my family are medical people. They're all very academic. And they just think I'm larking around, you know.
When are you going to get a real life?
Get a job? No.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, I've never had a proper job. What are you talking about?
Okay. What's that? Okay. Can we do it at the end, or can I ask 2 more questions?
Sure. And then if you want to ask a couple questions about the cameras used and stuff in that footage after we show.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. Yeah. I'm going to ask one more question from the audience. We'll show the footage. I feel like we clapped in and that was really good, so I feel like it's okay. And then I'll ask my final question because we're running low on time.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
So the last question from the audience, because we're running low on time, is what's your approach to getting good performances out of your actors?
Casting's very important. Try and cast. Try and use people that have got experience. And also, I think, because there have been times where I've had actors who, I don't know their work. So sometimes you have to go into a job and you don't know the actor's work. Even if they've done a lot of stuff, they may, their process coming in, they may not have prepared. So I think it's just really making them feel comfortable. If they're struggling with lines or, there's ways around that. You can kind of have boards and stuff for them. Or just taking them aside and having a 5-minute chat with them and just saying, look, I can see that something's blocking you. What is it? Let's chat.
Yeah.
What can I do to get you through this?
What are some of the extreme cases where you've had to really work an actor into an emotional state?
One of the little boys I worked with on Sticks and Stones, he hadn't had that much experience, but he was, he was malleable. He was willing to learn and try things. So I had to give him a couple of tricks with not blinking and, those kind of things, which when an actor blinks, it's not a particularly, unless the scene needs it, but it can be quite distracting if there's a lot of blinking going on.
A lot of times that happens out of nerves.
Yeah,
anyway.
Of course, so I just, go and say, right, let's have a stare off and see how...
And that's what you would do with a kid.
Yeah, let's see how long you can stop blinking. You might get a prize if you win. Bribing.
Does that work with adults too?
Oh God, yeah. Look, I've been a nanny, so I can get through most things with bribes.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have for audience questions, but I always ask one question at the end of every interview to everyone that comes in, and that is, in the last 5 years that you've been directing, What have you learned that you wish you could go back and tell your younger self that would have saved you so much trouble? What's like the most important lesson that you would want to share with a group of new filmmakers that aren't quite where you are yet?
You just really need to calm down, to be honest, and just kind of trust that it's going to happen. Because if you want it badly enough and you believe it, it will. It will, because stuff comes, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I still have a long way to go. I know you've seen that I've done a lot of work and everything, but, you know, I'm at that next level now where I'm trying to break in, you know, to a different part of my journey, and I'm kind of navigating that, you know, so just trying a whole load of different things to get to that next level. And you know, it is a journey, and it's like building a house, really. You know, you don't just, you know, get your bricks and the next day it's built. It takes time. So you have to build up relationships with people. That's the key thing, I think. It's, you know, getting to know good people and surrounding yourself with good people, and just believing in yourself, because you're very powerful. Everybody in this room can do it. If I can do it, you all can. So, you know, you really are powerful. You just need to believe that.
That was really poignant. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes, we are so grateful for your support. This show is free because of people like you that took action. They said, I like this, and they hit the subscribe button. And as our audience grows, the quality of the show just keeps getting better and better, as a lot of you guys have seen that have been coming to a lot of our events. So if you want to show some support, you want to keep seeing better stuff, just subscribe to our YouTube channel at HWMM Originals or our iTunes podcast, How We Make Movies, and we'll see you next time.